Alright, take two. I'm Fortek Music, and I guess I make music, right? I'm a music producer from Denver, mainly Commerce City, so shout out Commerce City. I got into the music scene by just going to raves. I mean, I had my cousin Elvia that took me to my first rave, and let me just say that it was like the craziest thing, and it was such a crazy scene, and I was like, you know what, I need to get in this, and I basically said I want to be a part of this for the long run, and here I am, 12 years later, I'm still going to shows and you know, trying to play shows and stuff like that. And even then, I just felt like I needed to make music, create stuff that was in that scene, you know, because before that I was making little reggaeton beats that I would sell to kids in middle school, and it was weird, you know, and I found the electronic scene, and it overtook my whole life, and I've been producing since I was 16, so it's been a long time. So it's been great. I feel like it's going where I want it to go. So, but yeah, I mean, music in general, I've been doing since I was little. It was kind of an outlet. You know, when I was younger, I was like super overweight, so I was getting bullied a lot. So that was kind of a way to get away from that and kind of make my own world in my head, kind of escape. But then it turned into a job. So here we are. I like to start with making the bass line. It's just because it's like the easiest thing for me to make. I love those vibes. Like, it sounds so different when it's just one, right? And then this by itself, and then together. It's fat. Just fills it up, you know? Then you add a little mid bass to this. Like I said, you just gotta create almost an environment in someone's head when you're producing stuff like this. So I always like to kind of mess with people's minds. So I add some more samples. Shout out Splice again. So we got this one, which is just kind of like a ping effect, you know, going back and forth. That kind of speeds up, and then we have like some mothership type of loop, and I like that. And then we have them all together, and I think that kind of creates an ambient in your head. Like I said, it speeds up, so I thought it was cool, so I added it on there. So hopefully you guys like that part.
It's like old school trance.
It is basically like old school trance. It's literally this is what it sounds like together. So, being that I love vocals, I love female vocals specifically, I had to add some kind of to give it, I guess, just create this atmosphere for whoever's listening for this. I know it's super extra and people are like, but I love doing that, and I think it's great that you know, other people try to do that and create kind of like a space in your mind. I think one of my inspirations is probably Hans Zimmer. The way he has made soundtracks for movies is amazing. So these vocals here.
Welcome to the awakening.
And then we got this right here.
I want you to transcend realities, unlocking secrets of the universe.
And the universe, because it's Hyperion. So Hyperion, if people don't know, that's one of the moons of Saturn. And I got the idea to make a song about space, right? And that's just the coolest name I could find online, and I think it's pretty cool. And then actually I have a fun fact. This vocal that says Hyperion is actually just my voice.
Hyperion.
I recorded that on my iPhone one day. I just set it and then added a bunch of different effects to it, and it sounds this way. So it's like me saying Hyperion, really deep.
Hyperion.
Alright, so this is the original recording.
Hyperion.
You know, you have to be crafty with the way that you do shit. It's kind of like, just be yourself. I mean, I always like to say that I don't want to be making cookie cutter music. Try to be different with whatever I make, which sometimes kills me because trying to be different, it's like trying to cook it in like a meal with no ingredients. So, let's you gotta do what you gotta do.
Hyperion.
I would probably describe what Fortek music is as very kind of neo-futuristic now. Kind of like you have some retro vibes, some old school trance vibes, but you also have, like I said, a lot of like incorporation of dubstep and like bass music and stuff like that. So I try to bring all that, and I try to use a lot of like technology, sounds and stuff like that. But you'll see, you know, the EP is not out yet, but when this video comes out, it will be. So people can kind of check out the EP and see what I'm moving towards and what I think Fortek music will be in the future. So my inspiration for my sound is probably from Ferry Corsten. I mean, it's various other people. There's a lot of people like Must Die that makes dubstep, Kaizo that also makes dubstep, people like Rez. You know, a lot of my new sound comes from that, but it's also a lot of inspiration from like people like Alex Di Stefano and Chris Schweizer, so it's difficult to say his name, but yeah, I get inspiration from all those people, and I kind of blend it into what Fortek music is. And I think it's hard to find one person that inspires you, but I think having multiple people kind of created what Fortek is. For motivation, I find a lot of places it's kind of difficult to stay motivated, you know, especially right now with COVID. You know, everybody's down, and it's kind of you don't feel very inspired by the world, but I take inspiration from different things. I kind of like Taylor Swift. Sometimes, you know, you have a relationship that failed. So like Wild Love, I created off of like a failed type of relationship almost. You know, my song Feel It as well, that came from that. And then there's songs where like Soul Collector came because I was inspired by Halloween. So it really depends where the inspiration comes from. But to stay motivated, you just have to sit down and just sit in front of the computer and just crank it out. 2 hours a day minimum. You know, I know some people will sit there the whole day, but I try to do a minimum of 2 hours just because I currently have another job. So we got to try to do both at the same time. I also try to get my heart broken by girls all the time, so that way I can make great music. And a lot of these synths I did not make myself, so don't be scared to make music if you don't know how to sound design. It's fine. That's why people make presets for you. So I'm gonna get flamed for that, but it's fine. And then, you know, it's just the kick. You know, you can't forget 4 on the floor. Let's go. Sick kick, sick kick. I always loop my percussions and then bring them in later, so they're already mixed, they're already put together, they're all together, and it's easier just to drag them and put them on top of whatever track you're making. It makes it a lot easier for me, and that's the way I do it.
Is this the new version?
Huh?
Is this like the new version I use?
Yeah.
That isn't sick on the classic.
Because I had made the other one, and I was like, I just came up with...
Yeah, the groove in that intro is nasty. It's disgusting. That looks like a beautiful track. Look at that. Oh. So nasty.
There's this thing that I saw from Deadmau5, that he says, like, sometimes when you add, you know, and this is summarizing it because I don't remember the exact words, but, you know, when you're making music and you think you need to add more and more to make it better and better and better, and then you just end up ruining it. And I think a lot of people that are perfectionists kind of see that, and then you're like, this shit is all trash when you had something good.
So I always try not to add too much to a song. I'm just like, you know what? Well, I'm gonna leave it, listen to it in a couple of days, and then if it sounds good, it's good. If not, we'll add something. But yeah.
What I love most about the scene is probably the people around. I mean, I think people are super nice. Sadly, when you go to like a hip hop show, it's a lot of, you see fights and stuff like that. I'm not saying at all of them, but I don't think it's the same vibe as when you go to an electronic music festival. People are so nice. People offer you this and that. And I think that's one thing I love about the scene is just everybody's so nice to each other. And, you're not scared. When you're like at EDC, you're not scared to be at EDC by yourself. You can leave and people take care of you. If you're at Decadence here in Denver, you feel good that you're around the good vibes and I think it's unmatched the way the scene is here and overall in the world. Electronic music is awesome and the scene is too. I think my goal in the scene is just to make it different. I feel like we need to improve the scene, at least with trance music. We probably need to make it better. It's great now, but I feel like it has a lot of potential. So my goal is probably to kind of help making that better. Hopefully one day, right? I had a couple from Mexico that sent me a message and they said, you're the reason we're together. Like we were listening to that song when my boyfriend asked me to be his girlfriend and stuff. And that's my goal. I think my goal is if you change one life with the music that you made, I think you've made it. Selling records and getting Grammys and stuff like that hopefully will come in the future. But, that is nothing compared to the feeling of like you changed one person's life. Like that's so difficult to do, and I feel like it's such a great feeling because now those people will remember it. If they break up, they'll still remember that song. Every time they hear it, they're going to be like, I hate this song, but I love it, So, I think that's probably, I think that's probably one of the feelings, I guess.
The best part.
Yeah, that's probably the best part of making music, I guess, professionally.
That looks like a penis. Alright, let's get that. We'll go catch some ghosts. They said there's ghosts here. Actually, crazy shit. My parents used to bring me to the movie theater here before this was all built. Back in 1850, I'm just kidding. It's so weird that I used to like chill in there and shit. What's crazy? Sometimes like between classes, me and Kenny would go like to study. And instead of studying, I was actually just trying to make music the whole time we were on break between two classes.
To describe the feeling of like playing, it's really difficult to describe. It's like a euphoria you get, but at the same time you're also super nervous. I mean, I've known DJs that have played for years and years and they still get nervous every single show just because anything can go wrong. And then it's like the most horrible thing is when you're playing a set and then the music stops in the middle. But I would say it's kind of like a mix of emotions. You're nervous, excited, but at the same time once you get going, like it's kind of like a high you get, from seeing people enjoying your music and dancing and basically you're achieving the goal that you had was for people to enjoy your music, and it's kind of a surreal feeling, I would say. My most memorable night was probably a show I played in LA. It was in a little tiny little warehouse thing and the vibes were just so sick. People were just jamming out. I had gone there, it was one of my first times going to a different state to play, and they loved it and it made me feel like this is awesome. Like the feeling you get just from people vibing to the music you're playing is great. So I'd have to say that night was awesome. That night was probably about 6 years ago. It was like when I first kind of started taking it serious, and yeah, that was a long time ago, but I always remember that night just playing on those old CDJs that they had and just playing like music in front of like that crowd. It was good. It felt like you were at home playing for a bunch of friends, and I think that's why I love that vibe. My favorite song to play is probably MDMA. Not because I do drugs or like drugs, but that song is just hype as shit. I love that song. MDMA is just like on a different level of hype. That's my favorite one. Every time I play it, like people are just going hard to it. And the song that I have, Hyperion, that's gonna come out, that song was inspired by what's the name of that movie? Inception. Because the guy that makes the soundtrack for that is Hans Zimmer, and he's like one of the best like film score dudes and composers probably of this decade, this just overall. He's great. So I got inspired to make that song by watching Inception. So it's kind of a weird, yeah. So I think, I mean, it does help to not, just binge watch the movies. I get it. I watch movies for the soundtracks a lot of the time too. My biggest inspiration in life in general would probably have to be my mom. She was a single parent for so long, and just her work ethic was kind of something that I took from her. And I always hear her little voice in my head that keeps saying like, work harder, work harder, work harder, and sometimes people think like, oh, that might be bad, but I take that as almost fuel to keep going, to keep doing what I do in this scene, and just to keep working. I think if I had to say inspiration overall, it would be definitely my mom. So I think being Hispanic and being Mexican, that really does have an impact on why I want to do this as well, because my parents came here from Mexico to give me a better life, and I think my whole goal in life is to give them a better life now. They came here, immigrants with no papers, and luckily they did get a chance to do it. It took so long, but nowadays not everybody's really fortunate to get that. So if I also want to maybe become an inspiration for this young kid that wants to, be a music producer to help his parents, and in the same situation I am, because there's a lot of ugly hate in this world right now. We have to rise above that. I think that I want a platform so that I can maybe create change, and if not, I want to be part of the change no matter what goes on in my life. So if I could open up a show for anybody, it would probably be Armin van Buuren, just because I know there's gonna be a lot of people there, and it's a great marketing. You know what I mean? No, I think it would be sick to open for Armin, just because he's a legend, or Paul van Dyk too. Fuck that. Paul van Dyk is a legend. I think what's next for me, and I guess Fortek music in general, is probably just, I don't know, to keep going. I have so many different ideas for music. I have so many EPs in my head. I could make an album, but I don't think it's probably good to make an album right now. I'm just gonna keep going with different ideas. I mean, like I said, Fortek 2.0 is very futuristic, and I think I want to kind of run with that, like a futuristic sound, and just kind of bring trance to the future. There's a lot of great DJs coming up now that make trance music, that are obviously way bigger than I am. Fatum, like I said, Chris Schweizer has a lot of great sound that's moving towards the future. We have people like Rubik. Those guys are bringing a futuristic sound to the scene, and I think trance music needs almost like a revival. And I know a lot of, I'm not saying that the older DJs are horrible, because they're not. They're legends and they're amazing producers. But every scene needs a younger generation to come in and kind of start doing things a little bit differently. You saw that in hip hop. A lot of old heads like 50 Cent and stuff don't like the new mumble rap, but now it's like the only thing that people listen to. And I think I never hated it. I thought it was great. Any change in a scene is always going to be great. Rock kind of stayed where it's at until indie came, and they changed the whole scene. So I think what's next for me is just bringing trance to the future. Yeah, so I recommend people check out the EP. It should be out now. Check out Fortek 2.0. It's gonna be sick. It's a whole ride, so it's gonna be an awesome auditory experience. Right now I guess what's next for me is It's a lot of live shows right now. You know, obviously the scene is different. Everything's changed, and a lot of clubs don't have full capacity. So the way we got to do it is obviously virtually, which is perfect because it's Fortek 2.0. You know, we're moving towards the future, and if this is going to be the future, that's perfect for me. That's perfect for my brand. And I think what's next is we have a lot of shows going on in a lot of crazy locations that I'm going to be filming. So I hope that people like them and stuff. You know, I love filming in crazy places. So we're going to try to get a lot of live sets in really weird, crazy places. And I also want to give like a huge shout out to, you know, the guys at Exponential Management. They've been helping me out a lot. They have a lot of crazy ideas, and they kind of put up with all the crazy ideas I have, and they try to put them together. So I just want to give a huge shout out to them. They're bringing Fortek and creating a brand out of this, which is, I think it's going to be awesome. So hopefully people like what we got going on in the future. I don't really care what anybody else thinks, you know. I make music for me and people that are going to want to be my fans, not just, I'm not here to please the haters. I'm not here like, oh, please like my music. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, then you don't. Move on and let us enjoy this. You know, like, I think one thing I want to tell to like the people that support my music and stuff is just to, you know, I guess thank you, because, you know, it's really difficult. Like, even having 200, 300 fans, that's still a lot of people. I always think about it as like, I have, I think 600 something now. And I always think about it, could I fit 600 people in one room? And that's going to be really difficult. So, you know, people are worried about numbers and stuff, and I'm just worried about having genuine people that like my music. And I think if you're here for the ride, hell yeah, let's do it. You know, and thank you for being here. Cut the cameras.
You're just not nimble enough, but you'll get there one day. But until then, Princess Daphne is still mine.